Good evening, November 28th, 2021. Take a look at Bitcoin here. As always, had some nice Sunday fun action here. Seem to be getting a short squeeze right in this area here. So Bitcoin earlier in the day did dip down into the original green zone that I had drawn on here, which should have potentially been the end of our fifth wave down within this Y wave. So based on this, we had our box here for 4, which we stayed below pretty much, and then this was the box for 5. And then I had, based on the micro chart in here, I had drawn this target box down a little bit lower based on the micro move, but it was certainly possible for it to truncate at any point and just be done with a tap of this box, and that seems to be the case. We're well above this initial line here that I had drawn, kind of saying, above that it's unlikely then we see that lower low. So at this point in time, I think it is likely that the bottom is in. But as I've always said, we need to see a 5-wave move up. So let's go down onto the 5-minute chart and see how it looks, to see if we can discern 5 waves up yet. And if not, like sometimes the 5-minute is unclear, so we may have to wait for it to actually clarify, on the hourly chart. But once we see, the first kind of big correction, or it doesn't even have to be big, but the first correction that looks like 3 waves, something like this, then we can potentially count that as like our 1 and 2. Maybe it happens here, maybe it happens a little bit higher up, 1 and 2, something like this. But then, like I discussed the past couple days, what we need to see is for this next wave, whenever this happens, we need to see the next wave up significantly exceed the first wave. Right, so let's just say, this is complete conjecture right now, but let's just say that's what it does. It goes there and then there, okay? Then the next wave needs to go at least to the 1382 and preferably to the 1618 in order to count this as probably the beginning of a 5-wave move, right? So if it does this, then we would need to see it come into this area before having a pullback and then a final move up. If instead what we see is simply getting to like the 1.0 extension, and then we start coming down, that is a big warning sign that this is A, B, C, and we will then have that next move down into the 40K range. So there is still plenty of action that we need to see to kind of prove that the bottom is in, because I am wary that this could still be a larger A, B, and C, like I said, down into the 40K region. And so the way that this bounce plays out is going to be really, really, really important to keep a close eye on. So I've been saying this is all down here. I said this is a great place to accumulate, even get some low leverage longs, be ready to accumulate lower, but I really have a hard time seeing it go below that. This is exactly what I was expecting. At a minimum, we get a dead cat bounce as 3 waves, and that takes us back up into the 60Ks somewhere. And at best, we actually do a 5-wave move off the lows and we begin the next leg of the bull run. So that still remains to be seen which one of those will play out, of course. So anyway, let's go down to the 5-minute chart and see if we can discern any sort of wave action in here. All right, so just like first glance at this, the largest sort of pullback I see is right here. And so we need to see if that is wave 1 and 2, where we are right now, hit the 618. So if we hold right around this region here, and then push higher, we might be okay. It is possible that that is simply and ABC to the 618, although normally C goes a little higher. So if we had seen just a straight push up here, I'd be a little bit more worried. That would look like 3 waves to me. So the fact that we are kind of stalling out here just at about that 618 extension is potentially a good sign. Now that being said, I do not see a particularly clear way to count this as 5 waves. Let's go down like stupidly micro. Let's go down to the 1 minute and see if there's anything at all that we can discern on here. So best case scenario, I say that's a 1, 2, maybe a 3, 4, and 5. Does that work with the fibs now is the next question. Okay, I'm not saying that this is definitely what we have. I'm saying let's look and see. Right, so that 5th wave did go to the ideal target. If in fact this is 3 and this is 2, we do have a 5th wave up there. So it is possible we've got 5 waves up right now on the very, very, very micro. So that, of course, depends on this then being the 1 and 2. So we would need to see, basically we need to hold above this low at this point in time in order to keep that looking like we might have 5 waves up, and that's the 1, 2 in the micro sense. We'll need to stay above 56K. So that's kind of a decent parameter to look at. So let me just put a little line there. Let's try to stay above 56 in order for that to potentially be our 1, 2. And it does, I mean, on the 1 minute chart anyway. I know it sounds ridiculous talking about the 1 minute, but that looks like an ABC correction down to me. That looks pretty darn good. And then, we're getting this next leg up, which should be basically a micro 1, 2 before the next strong move up. As long as we remain above this 56K region, that is still potentially on the table. All right, so is there any other way that we can look at this? Let me see. Maybe we have like a 1 with a high, A, B, C, something like that, like a 1, 2, something weird like that. Could we get then a 3, 4, and 5? Let me see if that makes sense. That also potentially makes sense. So this whole thing could be a 1 up. It's hard to discern 5 waves within this area here. So I don't like this quite as well, but it is possible, being that we spiked into that 1236 to 1382 region there. So anyway, all of this to say, it's difficult, like I said, on the really low time frame charts. A lot of times it's difficult to see if we have a true 5 wave move up or not off of the low. So it really kind of depends on what the pullback looks like, right? So if this is our 1, 2, that's our first 5 wave move up there, and we stay above 56, that should be pretty easy to track. If this is our 1, then we are likely seeing a second wave down right now. And ideally, that would hold. Let's just see where that would hold. That would hold anywhere in this region. So even if that red line breaks, we potentially still have this region to hold us in this sort of alternate view point here. So we're just gonna have to kind of wait a little bit longer and see. And really, like I said, we need to kind of wait until a correction forms. This one looked okay, but if we can get kind of a longer correction like that, that might give us a little bit more detail here. One or A and B like that. If that is in fact an A and a B, then we would expect a move down into that region. We don't have any overlap on that. So maybe it doesn't quite get down into that region. A little unclear. I'm going to put this in red. I think my primary, just based on how this looks, on this silly low time frame chart. My primary is going to be this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to put that in yellow, and we're going to make this super small because it's just ridiculously low time frame here. Whoops, red, minuscule. Okay. So there's our two potential 5-ups, right? And now we need to wait and see which one of these basically plays out. If we break this red line, I'll go towards this expectation, you know, and we'll have to hold this area here. In no case should we go below this level again, of course. And the more aggressively bullish pattern may include a move up, you know, relatively quickly from here. So that doesn't really help right now with what the short term is going to bring. So we'll just have to wait and see what the next, you know, few hours bring. Basically, see if there's any further clues. But if, you know, tonight and or tomorrow we get just a little pullback and then a strong move up, then we've got some more information to work with on what this is doing. So we'll have to see there. So, you know, I think it's good to be hopeful right now. This is certainly well within the realm of being done with this correction. We've been correcting for an extremely long time now, especially if you consider all of this, even where we made a new high. You can actually consider that all part of the correction because it's choppy three-wave action. So right now, like I said, we're just seeing if we can actually form 5 waves up, and I'll be a lot more comfortable once we get a third wave, like a major third wave that exceeds the first. So right now I'm not quite sure. You're really never sure. As the first wave is starting, it's very, very difficult to be sure when it's actually starting, or, you know, when it's actually finished, basically, and we kind of just need to wait for more information to form before we can make that that decision. But in all cases, you know, even if that's, let's say that's our first, this whole thing is our first wave, maybe we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even once we get those 5 waves, hell, it could even bring us to a new high again. We're still going to get a correction after that. And that's going to be the time, realistically, that's the time to get a little bit more aggressive, is once we get that correction down, after we get a full 5 waves up and get the correction down, right? So, you know, if you want to play a little dangerously, you can certainly start buying in anywhere in this region and just put your stop below that low. But just keep in mind, this is not 100% confirmed right now. We have a potential 5-up, 2 potential 5-ups on the 1-minute chart, but it's not the cleanest in the world, and, you know, this really could be, I mean, it could just do an ABC like we've discussed before, but even so, I don't believe it's going to do just this and then die. That typically does not happen. You know, you at least get 3. So I don't see a problem with kind of scaling in anywhere in this region. If it starts coming down a little bit more and you know, aren't happy with how much you bought here, if you want to scale in a little bit more and then put your stop below that low, that's not a bad decision necessarily. Just be prepared to stop out if it does drop below that, because if it does go down further, then it's going to be doing something really weird and convoluted that I'm not even seeing at the moment, and we'll just have to reevaluate at that time. So all that being said, we've got some hope, and let's just continue to watch it and see how it plays out. All right, good night, everybody.